number 16 for the position preview here, WinDailySports.com. I hope everyone is having a Merry Christmas Eve at the moment and getting ready for the holiday weekend. Of course, we are getting you ready for, the day after Christmas, a nice Sunday slate, a Week 16 Sunday slate. I know everybody is in either fantasy football playoffs and we're getting ready for the actual NFL playoffs. It's a good time, except for the fact that COVID still is not making things fun. However, we can try and work our way around that here at WinDailySports.com. This is all sponsored by the Sharp app. Go to sharp.app, and you can find all the ways to download the Sharp app. Yeah, look at that wonderful hat there that Jason Mezrahi has. Download the Sharp app. Find plays that you can get for this Sunday's NFL action, this weekend's NFL action. Sharp.app, the link you can use to find out more information, but Google Play Store, Apple App Store is where you can find it anywhere that you get your apps. My name is John Jansen. Follow me at JJason34, Jason Mezrahi. Jason, how are we feeling about Week 16? Week 16.
Week 16, Christmas
can't be any
weekend,
worse, or
so...
no, it's probably worse than Week 15, isn't it?
Look, it's Christmas, so how can you be so...
That's true. That's true. You're right. You're right.
Grumpy.
I can't be a Grinch here. Can't do it.
You can't. You gotta look forward to, some presents, maybe some nice cocktails, spending
eggnog.
time with the
Plenty
family.
of eggnog. I mean, just boatloads of eggnog.
You got 2 days of football, followed by like 4 or 5 days in a row, it felt like. So, football's been breaking up these, miserable weeks with what's going on in the world right now. So, big thanks to everybody, following with us and riding with us through the first 15 weeks, playing some NBA DFS, and, really getting ready to ride into the sunset with some fantasy football playoffs. Hopefully, everybody's in their championship and avoided, all these COVID injuries. And there's a lot to go around right now, and there's a lot of question marks. So, we're going to try to give a baseline of what we're thinking at this point of time in the week, but so much is changing, man, every single minute, every single day, and it's hard to keep up with it. And whatever we're saying now and you're listening to now could easily change in 10 minutes. Definitely will change in a couple hours. And by the time we get to Sunday lock, who knows who's going to be in and out, because every single minute, I feel like my phone's getting notified or somebody's hitting me up in Discord saying, all right, Travis Kelce's out. All right, now Tyreek Hill's out. All right, this guy's out, that guy's out. So there's a lot of things going on, but I like these shorter of slates. The fact that we have 2 games out the way on Saturday, it just gives a little bit less to deal with. 2 games you have to worry about in the slate. And what I'm going to try to do is just X off a couple more games, so we don't have to worry about those games, and then just kind of lock in on the 3 or 4 games.
Shorten up your player pool and stay focused with what you want. Absolutely.
Yeah, look, we're not playing any Jets. We're not going to play. We might have to play a Jaguar, but we don't really have to play a lot of these teams, man. A lot of these teams are washed right now, so there's a couple of really good games. And, Justin Herbert is going to be without Austin Eckler, and I don't think it really bothers him. You're going against Houston. You're projected to put up the most points pretty much on the slate, and you still got Keenan Allen. You still got Mike Williams, and Guyton and Palmer stepped up in spots where they needed to step up. Jared Cook's still there. So there's enough there, and they're probably split touches with Justin Jackson and Joshua Kelly. We'll talk about those guys when we get to the running back position, but I like Herbert a bunch. I think he's fairly priced. He's at the top of the optimizer for good reason. And he actually creeps ahead of Patrick Mahomes because we don't really know what the hell's going on with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, man. I wouldn't be shocked if Kelce and Hill are out. I know Mahomes is cool with these guys. He plays with these guys, so there's a chance that he might be out. So I'm off Mahomes for right now.
Yeah.
Your boy Jalen Hurts had a pretty good game. I'm not gonna lie. 6,400. Nice little value spot. You got the rushing upside. Miles Sanders will never score a touchdown in his life forever.
Never. No, so, he'll never score again.
So Jalen Hurts will probably keep scoring. He'll figure out a way to score. Outside of those 2 guys, Matt Stafford is a guy that this is just like the nuts matchup for him. It doesn't get any better. I know the Vikings kind of look better defensively a little bit.
Yeah, is that a game that you want to target too? Because I like Matt Stafford a lot, and I think that also turns around and makes me like Kirk Cousins as well. I think this game environment is just ripe for a bunch of points.
Yeah, I think that guy Cooper Kupp is kind of good.
A little bit.
Like by
bit.
week 16, is there enough of a sample size to say, okay, he's really good? Like even in
Yeah.
these down games, he'll still put up 100. So like
And there's a receiver on the other end too that's pretty darn good himself.
a couple of them, yeah.
Yeah.
So and there's so much value on this slate with all the COVID and injuries and everything else that's going on. There's so much value on this slate where it's a very easy pairing with Stafford and Cooper Kupp and kind of stacking that game. There's value everywhere, you know. Tampa Bay just got obliterated with injuries in one game. Like they got shut out and they got obliterated. I don't know what was worse for them, like the shutout or Mike Evans, Godwin, and Fournette all going out in the same game. So with them all going out, there is so much value from the running back spot. Your boy Ronald Jones we'll talk about, and from the wide receiver spot. So you can pretty much get any quarterback you want in the slate. This is not a slate.
I was about to ask, like, is this one just Herbert and Stafford? I know Hurts is in play. I don't know if they're going to need Hurts a lot. Like, I don't know. It's a weird thing for me with Hurts because obviously there's a rushing upside, but
Miles Sanders doesn't score, so that means it's going to be unless Jordan Howard's going to come in late again and score all those touchdowns like he's done before, or they're going to let every single.
And the Eagles already play sort of conservative, but they could play this one really conservative because the Giants aren't going to do anything.
Yeah, you don't want to lose to the Giants too, though. Like you're fighting to find a way into the playoffs. I don't think they like take their foot off the gas too early. And with Hurts rushing upside, he rushes one or two in,
right?
Rushes for 70, 80 yards,
and it makes his
the
entire
game.
slate. Yeah,
yeah. So it's like I don't think you pay down. I think you lock in on Herbert, Hurts, and Stafford. You still got to see what's going on with Lamar Jackson because he's still at this point, quote unquote, questionable and. Dude, Huntley's been playing out of his mind, fantasy-wise, playing really well. Josh Allen, no thank you, against the Patriots. Tom Brady without anybody on his team, no thank you at 7,400. Russell Wilson is just struggling all around. I don't want to touch that game against the Bears. Burrow's the guy, Burrow and Cousins, those two guys do make some sense. So for me, it's Herbert, Hurts, and Stafford. Mahomes is always playable, but I'm not going to go there at this price tag. So it's Herbert, Hurts, Stafford at the top. Again, Jackson, always playable. Like if he's confirmed in, good to go, I'll get a share or two there. And then it's just Joe Burrow and Kirk Cousins. There's nobody else that you should really climb down to, in that 5,000 range. Do not try Trevor Lawrence again. I don't care if he goes off. I don't care if he finds a way to score 2 touchdowns. Like if he really does it, 2 touchdowns. I'm not. The Jets do suck, but it's just not.
No, it's not environment.
It's not. It's not even worth going there. And
that offense is beyond repair. Like Urban Meyer's done his damage, and it's going to have to just wait till next season when the Jaguars.
I almost rather play Tim Boyle at 4K than Trevor Lawrence.
I actually would rather not do that. I would rather not do that. Tim Boyle's really bad.
No, he's bad. But look at the props too, just to kind of round it out here. You got Stafford at 281. You got Burrow at 269. Not all the lines are up yet, but those are 2 guys that they're popping right now. These props are holding out because with all these question marks, Vegas must be taking a beating too because they can only react so quick. So if you're seeing the writing on the wall with some of these players, take a look at these props. I hit the Debo prop. I've been hitting props. I hit Everett last week too. There's a lot of value out there with all these moving pieces. They don't adjust for everything, and they're not adjusting fast enough to us fantasy guys who are locked in on all these player props. So keep an eye on the props. We're going to be posting a lot more on the Sharp app as well. So definitely check out the props. And, that's pretty much it for quarterbacks, man.
Yeah. Let's move on to running backs. And, of course, the 2 highest projected running backs on the slate are out. So now things open up a little bit here. Or we can maybe Alexander Madison, because does he become a free play? Can we find a running back in L.A., which I don't think so. James Robinson's an interesting one. I think Cordell Patterson, of course. But this
talk about your boy. Talk about your boy. You don't even know who your boy is anymore. Who's your boy?
Joe Mixon?
Nope. I'm
Miles
gonna sit here.
Sanders,
I'm gonna sit here until you figure it out. Just you let me know when you figure out
Ronald
who you.
Jones,
There you go. Your boy Ronald Jones, who's so much better than Leonard Fournette. Finally, you get on the Leonard Fournette bandwagon
and I
after,
cursed him. Just
and you
cursed him.
cursed him. Yeah, like Leonard Fournette's actually really good, and then he's out for the rest of the year or most of the year. Maybe he's coming back playoffs. We don't really know, but yeah, I don't see how you don't play Ronald Jones. Like he's the safest of the bunch. Now you got to factor in Madison too. With Madison, price
You
tag is
have to
not
factor in Madison
the price tag
100%.
is not great though. But like he stepped up in this spot before. Price tag not great. Matchup not great. That's the only thing that kind of worries me. So I'm pretty much hitting the lock button on Ronald Jones. James Robinson close to a lock button at 5,900. And then the other two guys that now I got to factor in with this new news about Dalvin Cook is Madison. I don't think I get there. I really don't
Okay.
think that I get there at 6,800 when you compare James Robinson at $1,000 discount, with Ronald Jones close to a $2,000 discount. And the other guy that I talked to Six about briefly, he said he's not touching him. Gets me a little bit worried. I was, I guess, higher than he was on him, is Justin Jackson at 4,200. With Eckler out, I know Joshua Kelly is there. I know Justin Jackson hasn't been spectacular in this when he's getting the opportunities. But even last week, 13 carries, 86 yards. The week before, 9 carries, 35 yards. So it's going to be tough to pass up on him. I think this is a week that you can go 3 running backs, but there's so much value at the wide receiver position. So there might be guys that have more upside at a 3K range than Justin Jackson at a 4K range. And there's no guarantee that Joshua Kelly doesn't score touchdowns or isn't the reason that they funnel more through him if he's got the hot hand. So there is a question mark there. I don't think there's a question mark with Ronald Jones. I think Ronald Jones is pretty damn safe. But Ronald Jones has a tougher matchup than Justin Jackson as well. And I think Madison's matchup might be slightly worse than Justin Jackson as well, too. So James Robinson's got the smash matchup. He already proved it last week. He's proved it before. So you got to stick to these value running backs on this slate. I really think you stick to them. You figure out which one you're more comfortable with between the 4 I just mentioned, and then you stack up wide receivers because, with Cook out and Eckler out, opens up a bunch. And James Robinson, again, great matchup here. So it's the way to go. If you want to get different, you want to get cute, I guess you can go a different route. But a different route in this situation is playing Najee Harris or Cordarrelle Patterson or maybe a Joe Mixon, which kind of makes sense just to get off what will be chalk on the other guys that I mentioned at the low price tag. But I don't know, man. I think the value is the way to go. You lock in those values, you hit your other spots, and you cash. In tournaments, maybe take a shot on Najee Harris, but I won't sell you off Najee. I will sell you off Cordarrelle Patterson. And, I just don't think the game environment in the Chicago game with like a David Montgomery, who's fairly priced at 5,700, he could get there. Don't get me wrong. Seattle's rush defense, and Seattle's done. So I don't think David Montgomery is a bad way to maybe get off one of these guys. But I think the other guys have a clear cut, better price tag or better matchup.
Yeah. Honestly, I think you nailed that. I don't even know if I want to add anything to running back because I don't have a place where I feel strongly about. I do like Najee Harris. I know you just mentioned him, but it's not like I love him. I think it's a good spot for him though. Ronald Jones, I don't know if I like just because Carolina's defense isn't that bad, and I imagine it's going to be a lot more just Brady trying to get back.
One other guy I'll mention,
yeah,
is your boy Miles Sanders, man.
I think you have to.
Even if he doesn't score a touchdown, which is probably going to be the case, this Philly old line is good,
so
potentially
good.
great. And if he was just a little bit better, he'd be he's just the smallest of arm tackles, and he goes down. He can't do anything around the goal line. There's plays in the last game where all right, he's gone, and then somehow he gets the hole is wide open, one guy just comes through, and he's down, man. So like he's not breaking any tackles, but at that price tag, to get off these chalkier guys, game script in his favor, going against the Giants who can't score, and who knows what running quarterback they're going to throw out there. But game script should definitely be in Miles Sanders' favor. So I do think it's interesting. It's definitely interesting to come off some of the chalk and go with Miles Sanders in the situation. And then Mixon is in a spot where he can't really hurt you, and he could have one of those 2-3 touchdown Joe Mixon games to kind of break the slate when everybody's on the value guys.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on to wide receivers now. Cooper Kupp, you have to put in there, right? I think at this point, just put him in and build that way. But where are you building after that? Like where?
Yeah, you don't have to. Like you can come off Cooper. Yeah, he's 9,100. You can come off him.
Not me.
I'm with all the value. I don't think you do come off him, but you can come off him. Antonio Brown on DraftKings, you just lock him up. Like you don't really think twice as long as he's confirmed in. On FanDuel,
what about
you can come off him because the price is he's at $7,000 on FanDuel, but on DraftKings at 4,900. You don't come off him. We got to see. So now, like, you got to see what happens in Kansas City. So with Kansas City, if Tyreek and Kelsey don't come back and make it on the field on Sunday, the way I would rate them is I would rate Byron Pringle 1, Hardman 2, and then Robinson 3. But I would try to get, if you're building multiple lineups, try to get shares of all those guys. I think all of them can figure out a way to get in the end zone. Look, Vegas is not too scared off by these injuries. They still have the Chiefs scoring 26. So maybe they think maybe Hill might play or Kelsey might play. If one of the two plays, you play one of the two and you just lock it up and you don't even think about it. If both of them are out, then you look at Pringle, Hardman, and Robinson. If both of them are in, if Tyreek and Kelsey in, then I would go back to just playing one of Tyreek or Kelsey, because the Chiefs are still projected to score 26. And if both of them are in, that circles me back around to Patrick Mahomes being in play again, at the quarterback position. But Tampa Bay, you go with Antonio Brown. He's the safe way to go. And then if you don't go Antonio, Tyler Johnson and Scotty Miller are going to be the possession receivers, and they're super cheap too. So like a way to get a little bit different is not go cheap at running back and then go super cheap at wide receiver, and go with some of these Tampa Bay wide receivers that are going to be, 3,900, 3,600 minimum salary on FanDuel as well. So there's some value there. And there's, a couple other spots where,
I mean, is Odell Beckham in play? Because he's coming back.
Burned me last week, man. That same ticket I was trying to win for FanDuel. I mean, for the DraftKings.
Yeah, I mean, that Seattle game in general is bad, but this seems like a really good spot.
He did fine, man. He did fine. He did fine. If I fade Cooper, then I would try to get a share of Odell. But I hate the dude, man. Like not hate him, but
you probably do.
Yeah, slightly. Him and Baker, they kind of molded together. Like they should have just stayed in Cleveland, and I didn't have to think of ever playing them. But you pair him with Cooper Kupp on the opposite side. Cooper opens up so much, and then you give him a good quarterback like Stafford. I do think Stafford is a good quarterback. He's in play. He's not like someone I'm like running to go to. What I was thinking initially in my first build was Antonio Brown, Cooper Kupp, Keenan Allen. I just thought that combination made a bunch of sense. With Eckler out, go to the short thing in Keenan. With all the value, go to the short thing in Cooper Kupp. And then Antonio Brown on DraftKings, 4,900. You just can't go wrong. So, like, those three guys are anchoring my initial builds on Sunday. And then the value running backs, I can get three of those value running backs to pepper in. And, you have a pretty solid lineup. And, got to remember one other guy. And shout out to Sticks, man. This guy's really trying to push this guy to the forefront of your fantasy lineups. We've been saying it every week. And it's not Laviska. It's Nico Collins, because with Brandon Cooks, the guy that nobody.
Yes, Nico week.
With Brandon, Brandon Cooks, the guy that nobody wants to play, who won multiple people $1 million last week. He's out now. So it's got to be Nico at this point, with Cooks out. So he'll be in a really good spot too. And if you are going, and you're going to end up going with Chargers, if
Look,
you
every
go with a
single player
Herbert
you're
stack,
mentioning when it comes
yeah,
to fantasy points per dollar is right there. Like Pringle,
yeah,
Collins, Cup, Antonio
yeah.
Brown, DJ Moore. I don't know, man. Like
No, don't. You
he's
don't
got it.
want to.
He
Yeah.
seems to have a safe floor, but you're never going to get a ceiling game with Cam
Cam
Newton
Newton,
there.
man. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you're
Cam.
just never going to get it. Yeah.
So like that game, like I think the Chargers Texans game slightly goes overlooked, slightly. So if you go Herbert, Keenan Allen, and say you fade or play Justin Jackson, but Herbert, Keenan Allen, and running back with Nico Collins, I think that's a pretty good spot to kind of focus in on and get some value at the backside of Houston.
Yep.
They Davis Mills has put up points, man. It's not like he's like just.
He's been better. He's been better the
He's
second
better than
time around
Cam Newton.
starting. Yeah.
And he's better than Cam Newton. He's better. Like he's being productive. Like he's not like getting blown out.
He really is.
He's putting up points and he's scoring touchdowns. He's moving the ball. He's not elite, but he can put up some points. So I think Nico Collins also a guy that you can look at the wide receiver position and that has some value. And like I'm going to keep on saying over and over and over and over again, wait till Sunday morning, hop on our live stream because this is not the last of the COVID report.
Oh yeah.
Or the injury report.
You're probably going to get it right until we get the actives for Sunday.
And I think one other guy that I'll also mention, a guy that won people a bunch of money last week too, St. Brown for Detroit, man. Like the fact that Boyle's going to be the quarterback, I was more interested in him early in the week before the Goff news came out, but probably won't have him at 5,600. I think there's better plays, but I think for a GPP perspective, he's still the wide receiver one going against one of the worst secondaries in Atlanta, so he's definitely in play. I probably don't get there in my first couple of builds because I told you the way I want to go with Antonio, Keenan, and Cooper Kupp, a couple other guys to mention, but I think he's interesting for leverage in a spot where he won't be that popular.
Yeah. Let's go on to tight ends. Rob Gronkowski, man. I think Rob Gronkowski's the spot. Like while that game, I'm not sure how it ends up going, what the game environment's like. I just think Rob Gronkowski, like we're just going to see his touchdowns continue to go up. And he's back in the end zone in this one.
Yeah, look, I like Gronkowski a bunch. So the only question I have, and I'll ask you the question, who do you prioritize with Tampa Bay? Because Carolina's not going to score enough that you can't. I don't think you can play more than two. So I think you got to decide which two correlate better together, or go one of the three. But you have to choose between Ronald Jones, who's super cheap, and Antonio Brown, who's like he has the cheap price tag and he has the upside. So, and then you have Gronk, who from like a tight end perspective, there's a reason why he's projected to be the highest scoring tight end with Kelsey assumed to be out at this point. So I don't want to go with three. So how are you prioritizing Tampa Bay then?
I would go Gronk 1, and this is going to sound weird. I'd go Gronk 1, Ronald Jones 2, and then Antonio Brown.
Why? Antonio at 4,900. He's the only.
I know.
No Godwin and Evans.
The only reason is just I think Tom Brady puts a couple of points on the board with Gronk early. Gronk is the one who gets the touchdowns. Like let's be honest. If they're in the red zone, they're trying to score. I think it's going to be Gronk. But then the rest of the way, like do we expect Carolina to try and push this Tampa Bay offense to try and get it vertically down the field, and Tampa Bay has to score 30, 40 points? Like, I don't know. I think Tampa Bay puts a few points on the board early. This game's over early, and you can get a lot of Ronald Jones in there. Yeah. And with the way that the Bucs do run the ball, it's the offensive line's playing well enough that yes, Leonard Fournette's probably the better running back. He is the better running back. I know that, Jason. I know. But Ronald Jones can do well behind this offensive line too, and I think we've seen this team be willing to run the ball, and I expect they're going to try to and will do that against Carolina.
Yeah, Ronald Jones, I don't know. It's just these price tags.
It's tough because Jones just stinks.
It's tough because, for me, the price tag is so cheap on Jones and Antonio Brown that I'm prioritizing them. And and I can get whoever I want after that. So that's the trouble. So I do think, the easiest answer is to build lineups with Gronk, without Gronk, with Antonio Brown, without Antonio Brown, and with Ronald Jones without, and get shares and the proper allocations and correlations with those guys. Mark Andrews, people slept on him last week, man. The old Mark Andrews came back. I think this dude Huntley looks really good too, man. Like, I don't know if it's just a small sample size, but he's done work. Andrews been his favorite target, so that's another reason why I can see myself coming off Gronk to go to Andrews, or if Kelsey comes back. That's the other thing here. Andrews is in a great spot, man. He really is in a good spot here too. So that's a guy I like. For value, there's not much out there. Komet's being targeted, but I'm assuming that
those
Allen
targets
Robinson,
unfortunately don't lead to a ton of production.
Yeah, that Allen Robinson will be back this week. I'm hearing reports. We need confirmed on that, and I need to get the report on Jacksonville because I want to make sure that nobody's coming back here, and O'Shaughnessy's by himself. Or if O'Shaughnessy's by himself and there's no Arnold here, then I do think O'Shaughnessy, just to get different, if you need that salary saving, he's a cheap option at least.
I like Mark Andrews in this spot. Doesn't matter which quarterback he's in. He's targeted, and he's really good. And Dallas Goedert's really good, too. I like Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, Goddard made me some money.
Yeah, it's very clear that they're looking to get him the ball. Like they really look to get him. And he's a mismatch for a lot of teams. He really
I'm looking at Arnold here. It looks like he might be back this week. So obviously if he's back, then we're not going to go to O'Shaughnessy. There's really no reason to go all the way down there for value. Jared Cook, Uzuma, I just think with all that value in the other spots, Goddard's the lowest guy, that I'd probably go to at 5,100. But I think, actually, no, I'm going to throw one more name out there. The guy was like had a cult following for like a week or two, and now everybody forgot about him. It's Freiermuth. As long as he had a concussion, he didn't practice on Thursday. If he gets cleared, I think he's in a good spot here. Ben loves him. He doesn't like Claypool. Nobody likes Claypool. Freiermuth in an up pace at Kansas City. I think he's kind of interesting at 4,300 as well.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the player pool for tight end as well. With Kelsey out, it opens up. It opens up a bit.
You can throw Pitts and Goddard, and
you can. I Goddard, I like a lot. I like Goddard more than Pitts this week.
Yeah. And if Kelsey's out, man, like I don't know much about this dude, but if he's out, we gotta. You have $2,500 tight ends behind him. Mahomes will make anybody look good, man. Like,
I guess the thing that I always am cautious about with that is the same thing about Waller and Moreau. Like Moreau's not running the same routes that Waller did, and so he wasn't taking the production. Zay Jones was taking basically Darren Waller's production, and so it's the same thing. Whatever tight end is there, Blake Bell is I think the backup. Whatever tight end does go in there, though.
Bell has COVID as well.
Oh, geez.
He was placed on COVID.
They're in the backup. But again, I don't think whatever tight end is there is going to be running even half.
Noah Gray looks like to be the guy.
Noah Gray. I don't see them, running the same routes or being utilized in the same way. It's probably going to be a wide receiver for Kansas City that ends up taking that production.
Some Josh Gordon.
It could be, absolutely, exactly. No, I mean, I know you said that as sort of a joke, but yeah, like I think Josh Gordon would be more in line for those targets than the backup tight end for Kansas City. Yeah, I agree with that. Jason, we will be talking in tomorrow, but you have a great Merry Christmas Eve, and everybody out there listening here at WinDailySports.com. Hopefully, we can also win some bets, and good luck for week number 16. Of course, go to WinDailySports.com. Get a subscription, get a membership, and you can check out all of our membership options over at WinDailySports.com so you can get the optimizer, projection model, all of that. We were just using the optimizer right there that you saw. Use all that to help you with Week 16. Also, this was sponsored by the Sharp app. Sharp.app is where you can go to download the Sharp app or find out more about the Sharp app to download it. Google Play Store, Apple App Store, anywhere you get your apps is where you can download The Sharp app. Jason, thank you for doing this with me. As always, that is it for the Week 16 position preview. We'll be back tomorrow to get you ready for a 2-game slate here at WinDailySports.com.